All right, welcome back to another video. Still under part one, core beliefs. This is the question I'm answering today is what do most business owners, oh no, sorry, why do most business owners misunderstand what they actually need? Um, this is an interesting one, depending on what it is the business owner is trying to achieve. And a lot of that's because it goes back to the lack of understanding of what marketing actually is. Um, so if you're a business owner and you are, we'll just go with the general, you're trying to generate more revenue. A lot of times when you think of marketing or sales, it tends to be very narrow. Their scope or their understanding of what they should do is very limited based on what they have done before to get results that they're looking for or what they see other people doing. And that has nothing to do with what they're trying to get to. For example, a lot of business owners will think that in order to generate more revenue, they need, to create some new product, or they need to compete against some customer, or they need to break into another market, or they think that their market is tapped out and therefore they have to change tax altogether. And while you may eventually end up at that point, the reality of it is you just haven't asked your customer base what it is they want. Sometimes you can easily just go to your customers and say, hey, what else are you guys looking for? And then sell them the thing they're looking for, assuming you can fulfill it. And in that sense, if you're looking for more revenue by increasing the number of times your current customer buys from you over a certain period of time, makes every customer you come in worth that much more. Um, so that could be one aspect of it. Another aspect could be the frequency of purchases. So maybe you would like them to buy from you once every other month, but they only buy once every 6 months. And so that could be, well, what are you doing to promote once every other month? Do they understand why they would need to buy once every other month? Like, how how is this communicated to them? And a lot of times it's just if it's like a physical product, they're like, well, they should be out of it by now. And just because somebody runs out of something doesn't mean they go and they buy more. A lot of times you actually do have to go to them and say, you need to buy more. You should be out now. Get more now. And they just don't make that connection that that's something they should be doing. The other thing is that, yeah, it could be your offer. You might need a new offer, not to go after a different segment of your audience, but to go after what your audience is really looking for. Maybe you're getting customers in, but you're not getting as many as you want. And you don't realize that the reason for that is because you're not actually giving them what it is they really want. You're sort of on the fringes. And so they're buying it, hoping it solves their problem because it maybe you're discussing a little bit. For example, if somebody is having problems with their sales page, for example, they'll think that their low volume of sales usually comes down to something like, oh, my ads aren't working, or my audience, I'm not getting in front of the right audience. And they don't actually understand that it's their sales page that is the problem. So if you have a product that's like, hey, increase your sales, or increase your, you could say improve ads, or like jump on this platform. This is how to DM people to get to buy from you more often, right? So they'll buy that product because they think maybe that's the issue, but it's not really addressing what the core problem is of the business. You end up getting like these fringe buyers when they know they're like, hey, I just want to be able to get more sales in my business. And they think one of those things could be maybe how they're reaching out to customers. One of those things could be what are they, the way they set up their ads. One of them, you know what I mean? So they're sort of guessing as to what the problem is instead of you narrowing it down for them and helping them understand that. Um, and that is not necessarily something you can always do because they might be looking for ad help. But if in your messaging you're explaining why they would need ad help versus the other, so if you're like, hey, is your product selling really well but you can't seem to get ads to work, that would tell the person, oh, if they're having a problem with sales, they might be like, oh, okay, maybe it isn't my ads because I'm not selling. I am getting traffic and I'm not selling at all. I thought it was my ads, but now you're telling me I should be getting sales even if my ads are bad. Like I may not get as many as I want, but I should be getting some. So there's a bit of finesse in the way you communicate with people to get them to see that. But as you as a business owner, what to get back to the main point, I think the main thing that most business owners misunderstand about their own business is they don't really know what it is that's broken in their process. Marketing comes down to knowing the numbers. It is very mathematical. A lot of people think that it's creative and all this. Nah, it's all garbage. All right, you can kick the graphic designers out. You can kick the web designers out. You can kick the people who like, make funny swirly things happen on your website and all the fly-ins. You can give all them the boot, right? They're going to tell you that's what you need to make your website really pop. No, you don't. I've seen hideous websites convert way better than they ever should have if it was ever based just on appearance. When they cleaned up their appearance, they got even more sales. So just letting you know, it has nothing to do with what it is that it looks like. It's everything to do with how you're communicating to your person. But a lot of people will sort of fall into this trap of thinking that it is one of these myriad of things because they don't actually know what the numbers are supposed to be throughout the entire process. And that lack of understanding of what those numbers are causes them to reach out, try different people, try different agencies, different consultants, different products, and they don't ever really get a breakthrough. Now, I do mean a breakthrough as far as growth. There's a very high possibility they'll land on somebody that gives them a bit of information that fixes a process that's broken in their marketing, and then they'll see results. And that's a good thing. The problem is they don't actually know what it is that they fixed. They think they do. They're like, oh, I fixed my ads. I got to do my ads like this. Until the platform changes and they got to do their ads again. And they're like, well, crap, I'm back to square one. You were always at square one. You didn't understand how you moved past that, right? You didn't truly understand. You thought you did, but you didn't take the time to figure it out. Understanding these numbers and the metrics that go on with marketing allows you to go into any industry, whether it be your own or others, look at what's out there, look at how they're performing, and immediately know this is working, this is not. Right? It doesn't take me long to look at an entire funnel. If a business owner has the numbers, it'll take me like 5 minutes to figure out what the problem is. Now, it doesn't mean I have a solution for it right away. Like I've said, a lot of marketing is testing, but I can identify rather quickly at least one problem. A lot of times I see a myriad of problems, but it doesn't take long at all for me to be like, this is broken, that's broken, this is broken. And I know that because I know the numbers that you're supposed to see in marketing that tell you these things are working. And when you're not hitting those marks, that's broken. All you got to do is fix it. I'm astounded by the number of times, oh, just fix the headline on the page, send some follow-up emails, produces 2-3 times as many sales as it did before. And what astounds me is not that. What astounds me is the amount of resistance I get from business owners before they finally agree to do it and then are floored by the results, right? It's just following the numbers. If you think marketing is literally anything else, you're wrong. Like you're just wrong. Marketing is understanding those numbers and what they mean as far as what's broken in your sales process and what you need to fix. And that's probably the thing that most business owners misunderstand. As for why that's the case, now that I've mentioned several, that's the one, right? As far as why that's the case, they don't know them. Right? That's fine. You don't have to know them when you start going into it. It's not your fault that you don't know when you start doing marketing. It is your fault if you've been in business for a while and you don't try to find out. Right? That's when it's like, okay, you've gone from not knowing because you didn't know you needed to know these numbers to getting to the point where you're trying to do marketing and it's broken, but you haven't bothered to educate yourself on what it is you need to know to fix it. That's when you have an issue. And even whenever I'm hired or I work with any business owners, I do my best to educate you on what it is you're supposed to be looking at, what the numbers look like, because we're not always going to be around. Maybe I'll get bored of working with you. Maybe you'll get bored of working with me. Maybe you move on to something else. But I need you to know what these numbers are so that you can continue to succeed regardless of what endeavor you go into. Anyway, That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.